Hello, my name is Zach, and this is my July book haul. So, the first book I was sent by Delacorte Press. I'm on the blog tour for that, and that is The Breathless by Tara Godien. All I know about this is it's a YA thriller novel, and yeah, again, that's all I really know about this book. I'm going to be reviewing it sometime in October, so I hope you guys will check out my blog on that day. I don't know what day, but I will leave a note in the description of when this review will be going up, but it sounds really good. The next book I got from the Dollar Tree, and that is The Amazing Harvey by Dawn Passman. This is an adult murder mystery novel that seems like it might have a bit of a psychological thriller element to it as well, which makes me very excited. And this is about a magician who is the lead suspect in a murder of a woman he has never met, but his DNA evidence is like everywhere. So he uses his deductive skills to figure out who is framing him and why. Next, I have The Land of Stories, Worlds Collide by Chris Colfer. This is the 6th and final book in the Land of Stories series. The first book, The Wishing Spell, is about twins Connor and Alex Bailey, whose grandmother visits them, bringing with her a book of fairy tales that they end up falling into. They find themselves in the Land of Stories, and the only way they can get home is by assembling the Wishing Spell. But it's not as easy as it sounds. To assemble a wishing spell, they need to travel across the fairy tale land, gathering special fairy tale ingredients to get home. And so this is the 6th and final book. The first 2 books are very much enclosed stories, but books 3 through 6 tell a larger overarching story. This series is fantastic. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It's just, it's so good. Also by Chris Colfer, I have Stranger Than Fan Fiction. This is, I believe, a standalone contemporary novel about a teen star who is invited by a few of his fans on a road trip. Very jokingly, they don't expect him to even see it, but when he shows up, they decide to still go on this road trip, and they learn things about life, love, themselves. That's really all I can say because I haven't read this yet. If you're going to pick this up, even though Chris Colfer reads this book on the Audible version, I would highly recommend just reading this yourself. It's not that great. He uses the exact same tone of voice that he uses for his Land of Stories series, which works amazing for the Land of Stories series, but not so much for this book. I was like 5 or 6 pages into it, maybe 5 or 6 minutes into it, when I decided to just stop and buy the book. Then I have Because You Love to Hate Me. This is an anthology written by 13 authors in collaboration with 13 booktubers, and they are 13 tales of villainy. I've only read one of the stories in this book so far, and it's the one written by Soman Chinani called Lance and Art and Gwen. I believe that's what it's called at least. And that is a modern mashup of the Arthurian legend and the Hades Persephone myth. It's told completely in text message, and while I really did enjoy it, it was missing the connective tissue to really make the story pop. I'm hoping to love other stories in this as well. There are some fairy tale villains as well as original character villains, and I am looking forward to reading all 13 stories in this puppy. Why did I say puppy? So, on July 24th, there is going to be a Penguin Teen on Tour signing here in Portland, and I am going to that. And I had only had books by Morgan Rhodes, who is going to be there, and I'm so excited. I've been wanting her to come to Portland for years. But I needed books by some of the other authors, and I was missing a Morgan Rhodes book, so I got them. So the first book I have is The Darkest Magic by Morgan Rhodes. This is the 2nd book in her Fallen Kingdoms spin-off trilogy, and while I did really enjoy the first book, I know people had problems with it, but I also, and I understand those problems, and this book I feel like fixes most of those. It is so fantastic. I cannot wait until The Cursed Heir comes out. I'm like anxiously awaiting a cover reveal for it. So I can't wait, and I can't really tell you what this is about because I can't really explain what the first book is about, and yeah, it's just, let's just get on with it. It's high fantasy mixed with some contemporary elements and a little bit of like secret society elements. That's what the first book it has. It's a bit more of a secret society element to it. It's so good. Then I have a fairly new book, The Library of Fates by Aditi Khurana. This, all I know about this is that it is a standalone fantasy novel steeped in Indian folklore, and that is all I need to know about this. I'm hoping to get to this sometime soon, probably early August, but I am just so excited for this book. It sounds amazing. And then I have The Merciless by Danielle Vega. All I know about this one is that it's described as Mean Girls meets The Exorcist. And I've heard that it is just some really weird, creepy ass shit, and I am so ready for that. I want to read this before the signing, but I'm not sure if I'm going to get around to it before then. If not, I might save this for October and those spooky reads I'm compiling for October. So be on the lookout for a review from this soon. Now I have a book outlet box, so I will open this up and show you the 5 books inside. The first and most expensive book in this book outlet unboxing is A Game of Thrones by George R. R. Martin, the illustrated edition. I actually have a hardcover of A Game of Thrones, but I lent it to a friend who's now traveling the world for probably the next year, so I really wanted to get around to finally reading this book, so I bought the illustrated edition, and it is so pretty. It's got maps. And Khal Drogo in illustrations. Oh, I can't wait to read this. I cannot wait to read this. Then I have My Lady Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jodi Meadows. I've read books by all 3 of these ladies, and they are fantastic. I haven't finished the Everneath trilogy, nor have I finished the Incarnate trilogy, which I really need to do because that trilogy was amazing. But this is the first book in a companion novel trilogy, or, well, the theme has it's a companion really in theme only. But this is about Lady Jane Grey, who was queen for a week in like real history, but then she was beheaded. And so these 3 wonderful authors thought that they would give her story a bit of a better ending. And so I think this has some like magic in it. I want to classify this as like historical fantasy. And I've been wanting to read this book for a while, so I am so excited to finally have it. Then I have Spindle by Shauna Slayton, and all I really know about this is that it is a Sleeping Beauty retelling, possibly set in some sort of modern historical time period, but I'm not 100% sure. Her other book, Cinderella's Dress, takes place, I believe, during World War I, so maybe this takes place around the same time, or again, another more recent historical period. Then I have Girl Against the Universe by Paula Stokes. This is a standalone contemporary novel about a girl named McGuire who is, believes she's bad luck. She got into a car accident when she was little. Her father, uncle, and brother, I believe, all died, but she escaped with nary a scratch. She got into a roller coaster accident where a lot of people died or were seriously injured. Again, she escaped with nary a scratch. And so she does like all of these rituals in the morning to essentially ward off bad luck, and hopefully she won't feel responsible for killing any more people. So this book starts out, she meets a boy who is not very superstitious. There's some great like tennis. It's like a sports romance. It is fantastic. I have a review which I will leave down below, as well as GoodReads links for all of these books. And finally, I have Yellow Brick War, the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, which I love that you can get those from Book Outlet sometimes. Love that. This is the third book in the Dorothy Must Die series, which is about a girl named Amy Gum who gets whisked off from Kansas to Oz and finds out that Dorothy came back to Oz, seized power, and is now ruling tyrannically, and Dorothy must die. So, this is the third book in the series. I've read both books 1 and 2, but I honestly don't remember that much about what happened in book 2 except for the very end. So I might have to find a detailed synopsis to help refresh my memory before I continue on with this series. Anyway, that is it for this first part of my July book haul. And I am planning on buying more books in July, so you will see the second part right now. Okay, so I didn't get as many books in the second half of July as I was planning on. In fact, I personally only bought 1 book, 2 books my mom bought me when I went to the dollar store, and 2 other books were sent to me from publishers. So the first 2 books I have are Ghostly Echoes and The Dire King by William Ritter. These are the 3rd and 4th books in the Jacoby series. I'm about 85 pages through The Dire King, but Algonquin, apparently they did this last year, likes to send a hardcover of the new book as well as the paperback of the previous book. So I think I have a paperback of Beastly Bones somewhere around here, and honestly I wouldn't be surprised if next year they sent me a paperback of The Dire King. So maybe I'll just collect them all together, get them signed, and then do like a paperback series giveaway for it if I do. If not, I'll try to figure out what to do next. But if you don't know what this series is about, it's about a girl named Abigail who comes to the New World, America, in like, I don't even know what year it is. It's been a long day. But it's, I think, after America gained its independence, but I'm not 100% sure. There she finds employment as the assistant and apprentice of R.F. Jacoby, a private investigator who deals with magical and unexplained phenomena. And it's kind of Sherlockian, kind of folklore, mythology. It's a fantastic series, one of my favorites, and I cannot wait to finish this series, but at the same time, I don't want it to end. Then the book I bought is the Ever Never Handbook. This is a companion to the School for Good and Evil series by Salman Chinani, which I am slowly trying to make my way through before the 4th book comes out in September. And I do want to read this at some point because I have actually heard pretty good things about the Ever Never Handbook, and I want to see what all the fuss is about. I don't think I'm going to do a review on this because it's a companion book, but I do want to just kind of make my way through it over the course of this month, probably August. Then at the dollar store I found 2 books. The first one is Unbreakable by Cami Garcia, which I didn't really like when I first read it, but it might have been a state of mind thing. All I really remember about this first book that I disliked was that the love triangle was a sibling romance, and I'm not really into a girl being pulled between 2 brothers. I feel like it's just something you see a lot of, and it's kind of a cliche on a cliche, which just, no, I'm not okay with. Then I have Stone Rider by David Hoffmeyer, and this is the first book, I believe, in a series that I think is like Scorpio Races meets Mad Max, and I remember really liking this book, and the second book, Blood Rider, should be out at some point in the near future, so hopefully I can get the entire series. But yeah, I remember really liking this book, and it did feel a lot like the Scorpio Races with kind of a punk biker feel to it. So yeah. So that is all the books that I got in July. I hope you enjoyed this book haul. I don't think I'm going to keep this format for next month's book haul, or I guess this month's book haul, but I did kind of want to try it out to see how it was. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of it, so I don't think I'm going to keep it, but Yeah, so what books did you get in July? What was your favorite book that you got in July? Whether it's, something you like solely because of the cover, maybe you read it and you really loved it, or you think you're really gonna love it, just leave a comment down below. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, you can give it a thumbs down. That's fine too. And yeah, subscribe. I got some exciting things coming up. I think I'm gonna try to do a giveaway here soon. So be subscribed and you'll be the first to know when that goes up. Also ring that bell, but you know that by now. You know. Anyway, I will see you guys later. Have an amazing day, and as always, happy reading. Bye. Next book I picked up from the Dollar Tree, and that is sorry about that. Alexa, shut up. I'm glad I got that on camera.